Hi everyone, welcome once again. We are going to discuss some more concepts on managerial economics, and this time we are going to discuss about the equilibrium and the elasticity of demand. In the last lecture, you must have seen that I was discussing about demand and supply, where we have seen what is demand, what are the factors that influence demand, what is demand function, or what is the demand schedule, and what is law of demand. Friends, we have also seen what is supply. I have shown you with the help of a curve how is a demand curve drawn, and also I have shown you how a supply curve looks like. Now in this video we will try to find out what is equilibrium and what is elasticity of demand. So friends, I would recommend you, if you can go through the last video, it will set the background for this video. It will be easy for you to understand this video. However, you can find out, I'm going to give a recap of what has been discussed in the last video. Friends, we are discussing about demand and supply. And there I told, suppose this axis represents the quantity demanded of a product, how much we demand. This is our OX axis. So it shows the different quantities that a consumer is demanding, and this shows the different price at which the consumer is demanding the commodity X. Demand for the commodity X, this is the price of the commodity X. And I told you that suppose we begin with this price. So suppose this is OP1 and this is OX1. Means at the price OP1, a consumer is purchasing OX1. As the price increases from OP1 to OP2, so consumer will not buy more, he will contract his consumption, he will not consumption, sorry, to contract his demand, he will not demand so much, he will reduce his demand to OX0. And if the price falls to OP0, he will expand his demand from OX1 to, he will go to OX2. Now you can see that these points, and these points, if you just connect them, you will get a curve DD, and this is called the demand curve. We have seen this in the last video. But what happens with the supply? Suppose this is the quantity supplied of a commodity X, and this is the price of a commodity X. Suppose we start with this price OP1 and supply is OX, suppose the supply is OS1. As the price increases from OP1 to OP2, the supply will also increase because the supplier will be happy to sell more at a higher price. So we will go to OS2. But if the price falls to OP0, the supplier will sell less. We will come to OS0. And now when we link these points, we get a curve, and what the curve that we get here is known as the supply curve. Right, friends? So we have seen this in the last lecture, that what is a supply curve. A supply curve looks like a upward sloping curve, whereas the demand curve looks like a downward sloping curve. Okay, friends? So you can see price has some reflection on our demand as well as on the supply. So price determines the demand and supply of a product. Now friends, then how is the price set? Because as a consumer, I will demand less at a particular price and I would like to purchase more when the price is less. I will demand less when the price is more, and I will purchase, or I will demand more when the price is less. Right? But supplier on the other hand will be happy to sell more at a higher price and sell less at a lesser price. Then how is a price determined in the market? And the price at which a particular commodity is sold, that price is the equilibrium price. So how it is determined? So friends, let's see the equilibrium price here. Suppose this is my demand curve DD. And suppose I am here, there are different quantities that are demanded at different price. Okay. So this is my price X, and this is demand as well as supply. Demand as well as supply I will show in this axis. Okay. O X. This is O Y. So friends, this is my demand curve. Similarly, I have a supply curve S S. Okay. So at this price, the supply is this much. At this price, the supply is this much. At this price, the supply is this much. So do you understand that this is the supply curve which slopes upward, and this is the demand curve which slopes downwards. Now then, what is the price at which the product will be sold? Product is sold at a price where both supply and demand intersect each other. This is the price at which the product will be sold. So you can see this line and this line intersect at this point. This curve and this curve intersect at this point. And this is the equilibrium point where the demand is equals to supply. Is it clear, friends? Let's explain this with the help of a fresh diagram. Let me again draw the diagram for your better understanding. So friends, you see how it is happening. See, this is my demand curve and this is my supply curve. So as demand falls downwards, supply slopes upward. And this is the point where both demand and supply is equal. Right? So this is the equilibrium price. OP is the equilibrium price. Okay, so at price OP, demand is equals to supply, and this is known as the equilibrium price. Equilibrium point. This is the equilibrium point. So correspondingly, this is the equilibrium price. This is the equilibrium quantity. OQ is the equilibrium quantity at which the consumer also agrees to buy and supplier also agrees to sell. The seller agrees to sell and consumer agrees to buy. In case in case the price is this much, say P dash, this much. So what is happening? If this is the price, this is not the equilibrium price. At this price, the supply and demand is not intersecting. So this is not the equilibrium price. Why? Because at this price there is a disagreement. Because the consumer wants to buy OQ, but at this point the supplier wants to sell. This is OQ dash. Supplier wants to sell OQ dash dash. Are you getting my point? So there is a mismatch. Also, this cannot be your equilibrium point because equilibrium price, because if this is your equilibrium price, then see where is the supply? Supply is here, and where is the demand? Demand is here. So the demand is very high at this price, but supply is very low at this price. So this cannot be your equilibrium. So for equilibrium, we need both demand and supply to be at one place. So this is the concept of equilibrium. Now how this is set? The supplier will pressurize will negotiate and will influence the consumer to pay a higher price, and similarly the consumer will also influence the supplier to sell it at a lower price. So through the buying and selling pressure, ultimately this equilibrium price is determined. Okay friends, so this is all about how an equilibrium price is determined. Let's move on to our next discussion, that is about elasticity. So friends, now we will discuss about elasticity of demand. Okay. Elasticity of demand. Now friends, the concept is very clear. You have to get the concept of elasticity for any advanced learning of economics. You see, we all know that price and demand has got some relationship. But what is that relationship? We have seen if price increases, demand falls, and if the price falls, the demand rises. So this is the relationship that we have already studied in one of the previous lectures. So price and demand has a opposite relationship. Now friends, understand that if price is falling, demand will rise. But by how much? Is it that when the price is falling by 5%, will the demand also rise by 5%? Or demand will rise by 2% or 1%? I'm agreeing that demand will rise, but will it rise proportionately? If the price is falling by 5%, will the demand will also increase by 5%? Or if the price is increasing by 5%, will the demand fall by 5% or more than this or less than this? So this degree or this sensitiveness of demand with respect to price change is known as elasticity. In other words, I want to know to what extent the demand is responding to the price. I know the demand will respond to the price, but is it very sharply responding or it is not very responsive? It will respond, but maybe not that proportionately. So this is studied under elasticity of demand. So we can say elasticity is nothing but the degree of responsiveness, how much the demand is sensitive or responsive, degree of responsiveness of demand to change in price. For time being, let's consider only price, right? So how much the demand is responding to the change in price. As I have told you, is it so that the price is increasing by 5% and demand is dropping by 10%? Just 1% or 5%? We want to know this. And this is known as elasticity of demand. Now, as I have told you, if suppose you find that the price is increasing, say by 5%, demand will fall. If it is falling by 5%, then I will say that the demand is equally responsive. Means if this increases 5%, this also exactly falls by 5%. So I can say there is a proportionate responsiveness, or you can say there is a proportionate change in demand. Okay, so the demand is equally responsive. Equally responsive. Okay friends, so because it is responding in a very equal manner, in a very uniform manner. Whereas if I say if the price is increasing by 5%, demand is falling, I agree. But it is falling by 10%, more than this. I'm so sensitive. Demand is very sensitive to price change. So in this case, I can say the demand is more responsive. Okay, responsive. Demand is more responsive. Means it is very sensitive. Now, if the price is increasing by 5% and demand is falling by just 1%, means demand doesn't care, it just falls by just marginal amount, 1%, then it is, I will say the demand is less responsive. Okay friends, so I can say that elasticity can be more responsive, can be equally responsive, or can be less responsive. If it is very equally responsive, I can represent EP. This is called price elasticity. EP means price elasticity, means how demand is responding to the price. I can say price elasticity, if it is equal, I will say EP is equal to 1. But if I say price elasticity is more responsive, then I will say EP is greater than 1. Here the proportional change in demand is more as compared to proportional change in price. Whereas it is less responsive means EP is less than 1. So these are the three practical situations where we have EP equal to 1, EP greater than 1, EP less than 1. But there can be two other situations also, but which is in reality not possible. That is, your price is increasing by 5%, but demand is not responsive. Demand is not showing any response. Demand is not zero. Demand is not showing any response. Demand is at the same place. Your price has increased, but demand has not decreased. Neither it has decreased nor it has increased. Okay? That means the demand is not responsive. It is not at all responsive. The demand is not responsive. If the demand is not responsive, then I will say EP is equal to 0. Means, however you decrease the price, the demand will not be affected. Demand will not increase also, will not decrease also. But it can also be possible that price is increasing by 5%, and demand is continuously increasing at a very high percentage. So much high that it has gone to infinity, unlimited. Demand is responding in an unlimited fashion. Means demand is dropping to an unlimited fashion. So I can say it is highly, or you can say it is infinitely responsive. Infinitely responsive. It is infinitely responsive. Then this we call it as PP is equals to infinity. So friends, this is not possible in our real life situation that the price will rise and you will drop your demand to any extent. That is not possible. Also, your price will rise or fall, but your demand is not responding. That is also not possible in our day-to-day life. What is possible is these three situations. Okay, friends. So we have E is equal to 1, E is equal to infinity, E is equal to 0. I mean to say E equal to 1, E greater than 1, E less than 1, equal to 0, and E equal to infinity. Okay, friends? So that means we are trying to find out how much the demand is responding to the price. Now let us see with the help of some curves. The same thing with graphical representation. See, demanded, and this is our price. Okay? Now let's suppose this is our price. This is OP. And this is price, OP, and this is our quantity, OQ. Okay, friends? Now, suppose the price has reduced by this much. It has come to OP0, just this much. Your demand also increases exactly by this much. Okay? Your price increases by OP1 increases by this much. Your demand falls by this much only. This much equally. OQ0. Okay. So I connect the two. Now you can see in this case you get a figure like this. So what is happening? Your price and demand, they are moving in a same proportion. If price is increasing by this much, demand falls by this much. If price is dropping by this much, demand increases by this much. So it is a case of E is equal to 1. Okay, friends? Now let's see. If price is this much, original price is OP and original quantity is OQ. Now the price increases by OP1. So demand will fall. Suppose the demand is falling only this much. See, the price has increased this much. Demand is falling only this much. Similarly, the price is falling by this much, OP0, this much. Demand increasing a little, okay? Q0, Q1. Now, what will happen? If we join these points, you get a line curve like this. This means your demand is not very responsive to price. So it is a case of E is less than 1. Okay, friends? Now let's see that if your price is OP and demand is OQ, and the price is increasing this much, only this much, OP1, but your demand is drastically falling. See, suppose the price has increased only little. The price has increased only little, OP1, only this much. Okay, but the demand has dropped considerably. Okay, so the demand has dropped considerably. And the price has fallen this much, say OP0, but demand has increased a lot, OQ2. So just connect these points. You will find that your demand curve looks somehow like this. The demand curve looks like this. So this is a case of, since my graph is not proper, let me draw it again, that you have price has increased a little, but the demand has drastically dropped. Okay, price has reduced a little, but demand has drastically increased. So if you connect, very difficult to connect, friends. So if you connect, you get this demand curves. These are all demand curves, DD, DD, okay, DD. So this is a case of, this was OP, OP0, OP1. This was OQ, OQ0, and OQ1. So this is a case of elasticity greater than 1. These are the real life situations. This is quantity demanded, this is price, this is quantity demanded, and this is price. Let's move on to the two cases that I have talked about, that is in reality not possible, that is E is equal to 0. E is equal to 0 means you will keep on, E is equal to 0 means it will look like this. That means this is your quantity, okay, and this is your price, OP. See, this much was the quantity. Now the price is increased from OP to OP1, but there is no change in demand. Demand is all the same. This is OQ only. The price is reduced to OP0. There is no change in the demand. It is this much only. So your demand curve looks like a straight line. It's not a downward sloping. It is a straight line. So it is E is equal to 0. Now coming to E is equal to infinity. E is equal to infinity will look like this. This is your demand curve. Why? Because here your price is not changing, but your demand is continuously changing. Okay? It goes on like this. Fine? So that means here the price, corresponding to price, demand is not at all adjusted. Whereas here, whether the price is increasing, decreasing a little or not, but the demand will increase considerably. So it looks like a horizontally straight line. Okay, friends? Now, friends, if I have to put everything in one single curve, how it will look? I will show you right now. So, here you have a curve like this. So first, if I have to draw a demand curve like this, suppose this is your demand curve DD, this is your price, this is your demand, and this is your price. Okay, now you take the middle point and you draw a line, this one. At this point, E is equal to 1. As you go this side, E will be greater than 1. E will be greater than 1. And as you go this side, E will be less than 1. E is less than 1. As it touches this point, E is equals to infinity. As it touches this point, E is equals to 0. Okay, friends. So this is like when you are getting a straight line at different points in the demand curve, what is the elasticity? If you are at the center, half of this is equal to 1. And as you go higher and higher, you will find E is greater than 1. And if it is this side, you will find E is less than 1. Okay, friends. Now let's see this will be the conclusion of today's lecture, that we have talked about the elasticity of demand, and we have taken the first case, that is the price elasticity. We want to know how the price, with price demand is responding or reacting, or how far the demand is sensitive. In our next lecture, we will see how to measure. As I have told, it can be less than 1, equal to 1, greater than 1. Greater than 1 means how much? Will it be 1.1 or 1.2 or whatever? If it is less than 1, how we derive this? So there are some methods for calculating price elasticity. We will see those methods in our next class. And friends, we have different types of elasticity. It is price elasticity. Maybe in the subsequent lecture, we will talk about the cross elasticity. We'll talk about the income elasticity. But so far, we were talking about only price elasticity. And in the next lecture, we will see what are the methods to measure the price elasticity of demand. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.